Hi, everyone. I've done pretty much all of the interviews with Sarah Boone and who the police have talked to that they've made available to the public. Brandon's I have not touched on yet. And Brandon is the roommate of Vinny. Vinny lives next door, bottom level apartment. So you'll see the way these apartments are set up. Sarah's in a townhome style unit that's right there in the middle. Her door is right here on the lower bottom right hand of the screen. You can see the basketball hoop there in the entryway. Now, on the other side of this window to the left, you'll see the staircase, outside staircase, that leads to the upper floor, and that's one unit up there. And then downstairs, there's a separate unit. So what you're looking at right here is, well, technically 3 units. Sarah's townhouse, and then 2 separate single-level units, probably second floor. I've got the picture in here somewhere. We'll look at it in a minute. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure you guys understood that because Vinny's bedroom is in the back of the unit and Brandon is right here in the front. He may not have heard them as much as Vinny did because his wall wasn't directly next to them. You see how it kind of, that portion of the building kind of sticks out a little bit. But I do find his interview interesting. So let's get to it.
Today's date is February 27, 2020. The time now is approximately 17:48 hours. This is in reference to Orange County case number 20-017904. I'm currently located at 4748 France Lane, apartment. France Court? Are you sure?
That's what I always park up. Yeah, because you can see it on the sign over there on the 4749. France
okay,
Court.
France Court.
Yeah, it's weird. For some reason, all of the signs are on the opposites, are on the wrong side of the building.
Yeah, the further
that's
side.
That's about 8 there, and the sign's right there on that one.
Gotcha. Okay. France Court. Apartment. The Tealwood Parks apartment. And I'm speaking with, can you state your name?
It's Brandon Knotts.
And your date of birth. Okay. And you reside at this apartment, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you said that you've been living here since January of 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On Sunday, which would have been...
The 24th?
Let's just double check. Sunday was the 23rd.
23rd.
Were you home that day?
I would have come home a little late that evening, but I would have been here around 8, 9 o'clock. I would have gotten in around 8 or 9 o'clock.
PM?
Yes.
Okay. And, so your apartment is right next to apartment number 3. Does your apartment share walls with theirs?
My bedroom shares a wall with the lower half of their apartment.
The lower half, okay. Do you recall hearing anything coming from apartment 3 while you were, after you had gotten home?
Around 10:30 or 11 o'clock, there was a very loud crashing sound where I believe, I'm not sure, I haven't been in their apartment like my roommate, but I believe is the location of the staircase.
Okay, so
a little bit above.
A very loud, you said crashing sound?
Yeah, like it sounded like something had been like falling down the stairs. Because it started up high and then it ended low.
Okay. And when you heard the loud crashing sound, did you hear any voices? Like, could you make out if you heard a male or female's voice?
I couldn't hear anything, no.
Okay. Is that normal for you to hear noises coming from their apartment?
Not loud. But
not that loud?
Not that loud.
Okay.
But I'll regularly hear, like, thudding sounds. Like, stuff being, like, slammed against the wall or something like that.
Okay. Have you ever heard voices? Have you ever been able to determine...
I've always kind of, like, tuned out if I was hearing voices.
If you heard something,
yeah.
you kind of... Okay. But you have heard loud noises in the past, but not as loud as you had heard on Sunday night.
No, it never been that. Like, I felt the walls shake.
Okay.
As the sound happened.
Do you know either of them? Like, do you know...
I've had a few brief interactions with them.
Okay.
But I don't...
Like, do you know who lives there? Like,
yes.
Can you describe who lives there for me?
It is a sort of, I guess, like middle age. I don't know, like around 40s, blonde woman.
Okay.
And a Hispanic gentleman. I believe so. I haven't interacted with him much. I've spoken to her a few times.
You've spoken to her a few times. Okay. Anyone else live there?
I believe they have a little boy.
A small child. Okay. When you have seen them around, how do they appear to you?
They almost always seem either like tired or like tweaked out.
Tweaked out?
Yeah.
Okay. The conversations you had, the interactions you've had with the female, like, what do you mean interactions?
I remember one night she slept on the back porch of my apartment for some reason. I don't remember much, but I just remember, like, looking out the shade and seeing her, like, laid down.
Okay. Do you recall, like, maybe what month this was?
I couldn't say. It was pretty early when I moved in. I would say the summer of 2019. Summer of
2019. Okay. Did you wake her? Or?
No, I just...
Okay. And by sleeping, you guys all have, like, a cement area, right?
Yes.
Like a back patio?
Yes.
But it's not enclosed?
No.
Was she in a chair, on the ground?
Like on the ground.
On the ground. Okay.
I don't have any chairs on our back porch.
Okay. Any other run-ins with her? Things you've witnessed with her?
I was coming home from class one night. I would not be able to give you a time period on this.
Sure,
I don't remember when it is. And I was waiting on my roommate to get home because I had left my keys in the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember she came over and was talking to me for a minute, and it was very visible that, like, she was talking to me because she didn't want to be in her apartment.
Okay.
I don't know why, like, I didn't ask, but it was just very evident that she didn't want to be there.
Do you remember anything she was saying?
No.
Her demeanor?
She seemed, like, skittish, like, nervous.
Okay.
I don't remember anything we talked about because, in complete honesty, when I was just... It was in one ear and out the other.
Right, yeah, you were just kind of... Right.
With vague nothing.
Okay. Did she appear to be on anything at that point, or just she seemed nervous?
She seemed nervous.
Okay.
She didn't seem, like, high or anything. She just seemed out of it.
Okay.
I would chalk it up to be more, like, tired and paranoid, or nervous, stuff like that.
Okay. And any other interactions with her?
No. Honestly, from the few times I had spoken to her, like, anytime I saw her, I kind of just tried to go straight into my apartment.
Right.
There's a few times where I would walk past and she'd say hi or something, and I would just kind of lie and be like, oh, I'm only going to be here for like 10 minutes. I just got to change and head back to class or something. Like, I try to avoid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you ever witness either of them on their back porch patio?
No, I don't walk that direction.
Okay.
I don't have any reason to go like that.
Right. You guys don't have any, like, dogs or anything that you have to walk?
I don't have any pets.
There you go. Okay. Any interactions with the Hispanic male?
No, not that I can recall.
No? Okay. Okay, is there anything else that you think is important for me to know about them and anything you've heard or witnessed between the two of them?
It seems like an abusive relationship. Just from every time I heard them, every time, like, I saw the two of them, it seemed rough.
Okay. Okay.
It's one of those things where, like, he was a bad guy. He was a bad guy.
Mm-hmm. Alright, is there anything else that you think is important for me to know?
Nothing I can think of, no.
Okay. Do you mind raising your right hand for me? Do you promise and swear everything we've talked about has been true and accurate? best of your knowledge?
Everything I've said is true as far as I can work on.
Yep, perfect. All right, this ends the recording at 17:57 hours.
Slept on the patio next door to her unit on the concrete. You guys, I don't know if this sounds like more of than alcohol. This is really starting to. I've always thought it was alcohol. Up until the last day or two, I've always thought it was alcohol. I wonder if there's anybody that was in the unit upstairs next to them. And if they were, was that unit occupied? Were the people there questioned? Are we going to ever hear from them? Will we ever know that? I don't know. The fact that he said that they were always tired and always tweaked out. Tyler said the same thing. He said that she seemed tweaked out. And then Brandon mentions skittish and nervous. I'm going to get to this in a minute because I want to talk about what tweaking truly is. Some people may have different definitions of it, but I want to talk about what it says clinically that it is. But I also think, could a functioning drunk appear just tired when they're intoxicated? But we saw Sarah when she was drunk and she was slurring her words. And, in several of those police body cam videos, we saw that. We saw how she was. He brings up the fact that he thought George was a bad guy. And I also think it seemed like all of his interactions were with Sarah, though. And we know how she always... we know Sarah's always the victim, right? So if this guy didn't really ever talk to George, which I think is weird because I know Vinny talked to George and Vinny thought he was cool. So I don't know why Brandon wouldn't. I guess Brandon and Vinny, surely they talked about the neighbors. Maybe they were the kind of roommates that didn't talk a whole lot. I don't know, but it just would seem like they would talk amongst themselves. You would think if they were roommates, they would talk amongst themselves about the neighbors next door making all the damn noise. Even if they didn't have anything in common and they were just coexisting in this unit together, they could still, if somebody's making noise next door, you're going to like, what the hell is that? I don't know. So I don't know if Benny ever explained to Brandon that he thought, George was cool. I don't know. They both knew Sarah was a little freaky, but he didn't ever really call her. I don't think he ever really called her crazy, did he? See, George comes off to me as very quiet, possibly, not very social. I'm kind of wondering if he was a little jealous, and maybe that's why maybe he didn't talk to a lot of the men around there. He also may have, I don't know. He just always seemed very kind when the police were dealing with him, but that was the police. So I don't know. I think it's funny how he said he avoided them as much as possible because I can only imagine living next door to them and having to come in contact with her because she always seemed to want to talk to everybody. She was always seeking out attention. And so it's like you pull up and you see her out on the porch. You're like, oh, shit, I got to walk right past her. She's going to say something. She's going to see me. I would literally, you guys, I would go to this unit. Let me see if I've got the other picture of it. Their building, right? So I would park in front of Tyler's unit and I would sneak into my unit from the left side. So Sarah, if she's sitting on her little porch or she's maybe I can bypass her. That's what I would do. The other thing I thought about too is if they were smoking meth, you got teeth falling out, you got bad breath, you got all that. If they were smoking meth, wouldn't the neighbors smell it? Even if they were smoking it, they we know they were on the patio a lot. So it could have been there. But also, even if they were smoking it in their unit, wouldn't there, I don't know, is there a smell to it? I have no idea. I would think there is. There's a heavy smell. There's got to be a heavy, nasty smell to it. To me, it just, I don't know. I don't think marijuana smells good either. So I don't know what meth smells like, but it just can't be a good smell. And maybe it's not as strong as marijuana though. I don't know. All right. So let's talk about what he heard. So he's saying, all right, I get home between 8 and 9. And he thinks that between 10:30 and 11, that's when the banging on the stairs occurs, which we believe was George being thrown down the stairs in the suitcase. Now, quick to note, Vinny, his roommate, said he heard the crash. He thought it was around 11:15. Okay, so they're within a 15-minute time span of each other. That's not really that bad considering. I think if they were a couple of hours apart, then we'd question it. But 15 minutes, I'm not going to question that. So Vinny had said he thought the yelling started between 10:15 and 10:30-ish. So I don't know. Going back to Brandon talking about Sarah on his back porch, he said it was the summer of 2019. And I've brought this up in past videos. In the summer of 2018, you get a domestic call. George gets arrested. Sarah got arrested too on that one. Then nothing happens for a whole year. Then all of a sudden, the summer of 2019, there's like back-to-back-to-back calls to the police. And we think it was Sarah calling. So it's like something happened. It's like maybe the drug use started in 2019. Maybe it wasn't really, they didn't seem to have a whole lot of money. But I have no idea what the price of meth is compared to a box of wine. I'm not sure. All right, let's talk about the skittish, nervous behavior he's talking about. And I'm going to take you guys over here to a website called archstonerecovery.com. Obviously, it's a rehab facility. And they're talking about the behavior patterns of tweaking. Intense drug binging. Tweaking individuals often engage in prolonged drug binging, consuming large quantities of the substance over an extended period, sometimes days on end. Now, them not having, I always assumed that they were just drinking every day. But if they're doing drugs and they're binging on them I think it kind of, I don't know anything about people using meth, but just everything that I've heard about it, it just seems like you can't just use it. You kind of use it and then you keep using it for a while, like they're talking about here. All right, it says compulsive behavior. They become obsessively focused on tasks, often trivial, such as cleaning or disassembling and reassembling objects. Like a puzzle, like drawing, like taking the drawings off the wall, putting the new ones up. I don't know. Because honestly, their back patio was a hot mess. And it didn't look like her, although her unit, you didn't see a lot of anything misplaced. The floors were horribly dirty. Hyperactivity and restlessness. This phase is characterized by heightened agitation, restlessness, and extreme energy levels. Repetitive and paranoid thoughts. Tweaking individuals frequently experience repetitive and paranoid thoughts, often convinced that someone is out to get them. Sarah was paranoid about George. Could that have been why she was the way she was about him? That is one trend that a lot of us believe that she set it up to where, not that she was thinking long term, because I really don't think she thought past her nose, but whenever she was around anyone else, she was the victim. You know, in her and George's relationship, she was the victim and she spoke horribly about him, which kind of leads to why, Brandon thinks he's a bad guy. Physical changes. Exhaustion, which is what he said, they always look tired. Despite the seemingly boundless energy, tweaking individuals eventually become utterly exhausted. Deterioration of physical appearance. Prolonged tweaking can result in a significant deterioration of physical appearance marked by severe weight loss, poor hygiene, and unhealthy skin. Tyler said Sarah was fat at one point, and she lost a ton of weight real quick. If you think about the timeline of it all, she started losing weight when her and George got together. And Tyler said that Sarah's breath was awful. She never brushed her teeth. Jaw clenching and tooth grinding. Known as bruxism, this jaw clenching and tooth grinding is a common physical manifestation during this phase. The one problem that I have in wondering if they were misinterpreting her facial tic with tweaking, because I'm telling you guys, those facial tics that she has, if you put that together with the way she was so anxious all the time, somebody could have thought she was tweaking. So I don't know. Ugh. And I don't think Brian was educated enough in the drug world to know if she was tweaking or not, because I feel like if anybody knew she was, it would have been him. It says to truly grasp what tweaking is and why it is dangerous, it's crucial to distinguish it from typical substance abuse. While recreational drug use may involve occasional and controlled consumption, tweaking represents a reckless, uncontrolled, and self-destructive pattern. Loss of control. Unlike recreational users who can moderate their intake, tweaking individuals lose control over their drug consumption. They become engulfed in a continuous cycle of using and seeking the drug, often to the detriment of their health, relationships, and responsibilities. The loss of control underscores the importance of seeking professional help, including drug detox, to break free from addiction and regain a semblance of fulfilling a healthy life. Tweaking is not a phase of experimentation or occasional indulgence. It is a stage where the risks escalate exponentially. The behaviors and intensity of drug use during tweaking can lead to severe physical and mental consequences in the short and long term. Often tweaking involves days of uninterrupted drug use, inevitably leading to severe sleep deprivation. This chronic lack of sleep has a profound impact on the body, and it weakens the immune system. You can get extreme paranoia, hallucinations, and delusional thinking. Okay, you guys remember how we were talking about how we felt like Sarah had some kind of something going on in her head? We can't diagnose her technically because we're not doctors, but we feel like there's just, not all the bolts and screws are tightened there. And this is where this site I mentioned before, where there was a disorder that kind of went hand in hand with an addiction to a substance. And this brings up that whole thing about common among individuals who engage in tweaking is to have a co-occurrence of substance abuse and mental health disorders. The intense drug use can exacerbate underlying mental health conditions or trigger new ones. Tweaking can strain relationships to the breaking point. Friends and family often become frustrated and alienated by the user's erratic behavior and obsession with the drug. What if she started doing meth and had not been doing it before she met George, and the meth took over, and George ended up with a person that he didn't know? Like, she was one thing when she was drunk all the time, but now she's doing meth, and it's a completely different world. And Sarah having the type of personality that she does, it overtook her. My God, I sound like I'm writing a fictional novel. I know. I'm just like, I'm completely speculating, but tweaking is a slang term used to describe the dangerous and erratic behavior that can occur when someone abuses meth or crystal meth for an extended period of time without sleeping or eating. This is called a meth binge. People who are tweaking may experience extreme paranoia, hallucinations, violence, and other unpredictable behaviors that put their health and their health of others at risk. 3 or more days without proper sleep, easily agitated. In most cases, individuals who use meth need ever-increasing doses to feel the same level of euphoria they experienced before. Isn't that with all those heavy drugs are? Achieving this effect is notoriously difficult, leading to outbursts of frustration and agitation as well as erratic behavior. They're highly unpredictable and can often be a threat to themselves and others. We've already said that. Kind of the same thing here. What does tweaking on meth do to a person? Well, we know rapid eye movement, voice quivering, jerky or brisk movements. Okay, according to Medicine Plus, short-term effects of meth use include feelings of joy, increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, sweating, restlessness, dry mouth. Okay, y'all just settle down because so does drinking. Drinking leads to dry mouth too. Increased body temperature, large, wide pupils, agitation, chest pain, coma or unresponsive in extreme cases, heart attack, irregular or stopped heartbeat, difficulty breathing, very high blood pressure, kidney damage and possible kidney failure, paranoia, seizures, severe stomach pain, and stroke. long-term effects of meth are physical problems such as delusions, extreme paranoid, mood swings, and ability to sleep, missing and rotting teeth, which we think George had, repeated infections, severe weight loss, skin problems such as abscesses or boils. Ugh, that's gross. I don't know, you guys. I don't know. I mean, every time I think that I feel like I know this case, something comes up and I'm like, this is just a whole other piece to it. And my little type A personality wants to just fit all the pieces together, and I can't. And I want to dive down each of these holes and try to put it all together for y'all. And oh my goodness, I have still got to finish this doggone docket dive. You know, that whole thing of her getting an attorney threw it off track, but we've got to get that done this week. We need to look into this defense that Sam and I were discussing, because we think that that's going to be heavily discussed on Thursday at her hearing, which, by the way, the hearing, I have the live already set up on my channel, and I'm going to start about 30 minutes early. So please come in and join us, you guys. I guess that's it for now, and I will see you next time. Be good, everybody.